Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone. I'm Whitney Ward. A deadly and highly contagious virus is now officially in Washington. Today, the CDC confirmed the first case of coronavirus in the U.S. happened in Seattle.
Eric Wilkinson from our Seattle sister station brings us information from the State Health Department lab in Shoreline, Washington, where officials just briefed reporters.
The man is at Providence Regional Medical Center in Everett, where he is said to be doing well. He returned from China last Wednesday, started feeling sick on Thursday, saw a doctor at a local clinic on Sunday, and the CDC confirmed the virus just yesterday. That has health officials feeling good. They feel like they are on top of this and have been on top of it quite quickly. They're now in the process of finding out who the man came into contact with, where he flew through, and who else may be at risk. But everyone is saying there is no need to panic. The risk of anyone outside that man's circle getting sick is very low. Dr. Scott Lindquist with the State Health Department says the virus can look like a common cold or the flu, but that doesn't mean that everybody with a sniffle should be concerned.
You have to have exposure to the known site of transmission. So if you were to say, look, I was in the animal market in Wuhan, China a week ago, and now I have a runny nose and a bad cough, perfect. But just anyone who has cold and cough symptoms that has not traveled, at this point, it is not a good indication, nor we would consult with CDC, is this a person to test? And the answer would be no, because you don't have the epidemiologic risk factor. The other caveat is if you've been exposed to someone with confirmed novel coronavirus.
So we'll keep tracking that to make sure if there are any additional cases, and we'll let you know.
Absolutely.
All right, during our 5 o'clock newscast, Thomas said warmer temperatures are on the way, but my question is, what exactly do we mean by warm?
Yeah, kind of a subjective term,
right?
Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us with the details. Thomas?
It's January, so how does mid-40s sound? I think that'll be warm enough, or at least warm enough to be melting some of that snow that's piled up in the parking lots and the driveways. I think that'll help things along. A little bit of melting today, a little bit of rain as well, but I still want to focus on the snow. Notice over the Cascades, especially Snoqualmie Pass, getting some very heavy snow at the moment. As for Lookout Pass, a little bit of light snow just drifting by the mountain pass there, so let's take you to a live look. Yeah, it looks either a snowy, rainy kind of mix. The road conditions don't look particularly bad, but if you are heading over the mountain passes really over the next couple days, you'll still want to be wary and prepare for some winter weather driving. Otherwise, mild 40s and wet weather will be the trend for the rest of the month, but that does mean a lot more rain as opposed to snow, especially with 40s in the forecast, but it is also near daily chances for rain. So a lot of it in our forecast. So coming up, detailing exactly how much and if there will be any flooding concerns that'll come with that.
All right, Thomas, thank you very much. In other news, a devastating fire destroyed at least 5 businesses in Coeur d'Alene yesterday and left many of the owners wondering what's next.
KREM 2's Brandon Jones is actually standing by at that location right now. So Brandon, how are things looking today?
Yeah, for the last few hours, it's been rather quiet in the day following that devastating fire. I'm going to step out of the way so my photographer can show you what it's looking like over here today. Yesterday, it was a much different situation. I got here around 10 in the morning when shattered glass and ashes covered the road. Since then, the sidewalk has been fenced off and windows have been boarded up. This building is in downtown, so I've watched people drive by in amazement, and signs have been posted on the board that say this building cannot be occupied. I talked to the antique store that's next door, and they told me they'll miss the convenience of places like Schmitty's Burgers. And I actually spoke with the owner of that business yesterday over the phone to see how they were handling this tragic event. She told me they're trying to hang in there, and next month would have been 6 years since they first opened up their doors. When I asked what's next, the response was that they love Coeur d'Alene and will search for a new location here in town where they'll be able to continue their business. And there's no telling when this building will open back up, but the cause of the fire is still being investigated. From Coeur d'Alene, Brandon Jones, KREM 2 News.
Certainly hoping for the best for them. Brandon, thank you. Well, we have heard the rumors, seen the prank signs, and building permits have now been filed.
Yes, but this time we could actually see a Chick-fil-A built in North Spokane. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley has been following this. She's sharing now what we know so far. Amanda?
Yeah, quite the tease, right? Well, Chick-fil-A is one step closer to opening on Newport Highway in North Spokane. Now, a notice on the City of Spokane's website says the restaurant's binding site plan application for that location was approved. Now, the City of Spokane spokesperson, Kirsten Davis, confirmed the final building permits for the restaurant are now under review.
you can almost see Spokane's first Chick-fil-A come into view. New documents on the city's website say the current Spokane project proposes a nearly 4,900 square foot building with 96 interior seats and 16 patio seats with a playground, along with a dual order drive-through lane with capacity for 28 vehicles. A portion of the site is already occupied by a used car dealership, which the project proposes to replace with the restaurant. According to the city's letter, the building permit became effective on January 2nd this year and will expire on December 16th, 2024, if a final binding site plan application has not been submitted or an extension prior to the expiration date has not been requested. Site plans say the existing piece of land will be split to create two properties, but only the western portion of the existing piece of land will be developed. The remaining eastern portion will remain undeveloped until a new user is established. The saga of will they or won't they come to Spokane started in August 2018, when the company's website said a location was coming soon to Gonzaga University. School leaders later denied it, and the company said an online error was to blame. Then this coming soon sign popped up in Hayden, Idaho, donning the Chick-fil-A logo. But a development official later told KREM they believe the sign was a prank.
Not a very funny prank, if you ask us here. So there is hope for the chicken sandwich restaurant to open in North Spokane, but it still has a ways to go. Amanda Brody, KREM 2 News.
I don't know. I don't believe it till I see it.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted.
If you think driving here in the Evergreen State is kind of rough, you might just be right. A new study from Wallet Hub named Washington the third worst U.S. state to drive in for 2020. That's based on things like gas prices, rush hour traffic congestion, and road quality. They also compared all 50 states on the cost of vehicle ownership and maintenance. Idaho, though, fared much better at number 17 on the list. By the way, Hawaii came in as the #1 worst state to drive in.
Must got the data from Seattle, not Spokane.
Yeah,
clearly.
of course not.
Well, as the presidential impeachment trial gets underway in the Senate, we got a number of questions from viewers about the process and the president's powers when it comes to the trial.
We've had our Verify team breaking those down, so here's our Jason Puckett.
Viewer Loretta S. sent us this question. Quote, does the president have a kill switch in which he can stop the impeachment trial in its tracks? Thanks for the question, Loretta. Let's break this down. Our sources are the U.S. Constitution and U.S. Senate documents. Part of the reason impeachment is confusing is that there's not a lot about it in the Constitution itself. There's about 7 sentences, but they make a few things clear in Article 1. The House of Representatives has the sole power to impeach someone, and the Senate has the sole power to try that impeachment. The president and impeachment are only talked about in Article 2 and only when talking about presidential limits, like how the president can't pardon anyone who's impeached. Put simply, the president is given no constitutional powers when it comes to impeachment. That means we can verify the president of the United States has no constitutional powers to stop or kill the impeachment trial. But we can't stop there because of political parties. Republicans and Democrats aren't even mentioned in the Constitution, but they have plenty of real power. As a leader of the Republican Party, President Trump does have influence over the Republican senators who will try the impeachment. Now, that's not a kill switch, just possible influence. The only way the trial could be stopped in its tracks is if a majority of senators voted to end it. And it's important to point out that all senators have taken an oath to be impartial in the trial. Got any other questions as this continues? Send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.